Audubon 2456.
It's time to drop your night vision goggles and join us for another episode of State of the Save. Welcome everybody. It's your host Eric. With me as always Michael. How you doing, Michael?
Dropping in. Going
Dropping
dark.
in. Going. That's a different franchise. Different franchise.
Oh, crap.
Yeah. No. We are here today to talk about Splinter Cell Chaos Theory, part 1
Yes.
of the two-parter here. We're going to be discussing missions 1 through 5. It's going to be a good one. I'm excited about this show. This is a game that I have not played before. Michael, I don't think you played it before either.
Nope.
And it's made a very positive impression on us, I think. I've very, very much enjoyed it so far. So I'm really looking...
We may have broke some rules behind the scenes and discussed a little bit of this game, because it was basically like, is this game brilliant? Yeah, okay.
Sometimes you have to check and make sure that a game is as good as you think it is. And that sounds like a really weird statement, but it's because you have to kind of fact check yourself and make sure, like, hey, am I actually, enjoying this as much as I think I am? Is it just that, this is just hitting at the right time or something? And it's like, no, this game is pretty damn great. I'm very much, like I said, looking forward to discussing it today, and we've talked about it a little bit, but not really in super detail. Let's talk about some other video games, though, like we usually do on this here show before we get into our main topic. Michael, video games are happening now, and they're happening at an extremely fast pace.
I can't keep up with all the video games happening. There's way too many.
We went from, like, a period of maybe, I'm going to say 5 years, if not more, of video games not being at this, like, breakneck pace that we're at right now, where there's just stuff lined up, and it's starting early, and it's pretty exciting. As we're recording this today, Atomic Heart dropped today.
Wild Hearts.
Yeah, Wild Hearts also. Lots of hearts. Apparently
Yes.
hearts are in this February. It's February. Everybody's like, we got to get in on this Valentine phase. No, both of those dropped. I'm looking forward to playing some Atomic Heart. I think I'm going to play that tonight. Seems like reviews are very mixed.
That's what you want for it. Not necessarily what you want for a Game Pass game, but it's you're glad it is on Game Pass.
Yeah,
Like-
and it seems like one of those games that it's very hit or miss how the reviews are going for it. But I'm at this weird point when I look at reviews and games in general, where it's kind of hard to like look at like a Metacritic score and judge something by it anymore for me. I very much just try to pick outlets and people who I generally agree with and kind of follow their opinions more than just like, hey, this has a 92 on Metacritic, therefore it's good. This has a 67, therefore it's bad.
Exactly.
Yeah, I feel like it's better just to find some people you agree with and kind of ride with their opinions. We discussed this one time off mic, just in day-to-day life, but I questioned some of the outlets that get those scores added to Metacritic. Like, it's some of these, like, it's like video games .sc somehow gave a game like 7 out of 10. It's like, how'd they get to make a decision on this?
And for some of the big ones, some releases are like more spaced out and weird. So for a lot of the big releases now, companies are sending it out to review outlets who had already positive like pre-coverage of the game, just so whenever the early version of game releases, that Metascore is nice and high. So
It's also
people be like, I'm gonna wow, that's a high number. I'm gonna pre-order the edition that lets me play 3 days early.
it's a lot of like sending it out to streamers that have already been making content saying how much they're looking forward to the game, so therefore they are more likely to be excited about said video game. I go back and forth on how I feel about all that,
Yep.
Like, you can say that, oh, it's not as ethical as video game journalism used to be. That's a dumb statement. because I also I was a subscriber to Electronic Gaming Monthly for many, many, many years, and I can tell you right now, some of those game reviews were done in like 8 hour spans because they go to press like tomorrow, so just figure the shit out and print the review.
Activision flew us out to this island to jump off airplanes for Call of Duty.
Like, I've always thought, like, let's not even go down the rabbit hole of all the people who want, like, ethics in game journalism. But, like, that shit's always been suspect, alright? Like, here's a picture of me shooting a machine gun in the desert, and I got to play Call of Duty, too. It's like, you know, it's all marketing at this point. But, that's why you should trust your small, local video game podcasts and outlets for your opinions. I've played some stuff. I've been playing a lot of stuff. I've been knocking out a bunch of things. I played Hi-Fi Rush.
Yeah, I heard about that.
Yes, it's a game that I think came out in the beginning of January, I want to say, something like that. Was it beginning of January?
Mid-January. It dropped directly after Xbox's developer direct thing. It was a surprise from Shinji Mikami's studio.
You know, I looked at it and I said to myself, this doesn't look like anything that appeals to me. And I'm about 3 missions into it right now, and I'm thoroughly enjoying it. A lot more than I thought I would. It's the rhythm-based action game. So, you know, you're getting bonuses for doing your combos on beat. The whole kind of world has a bounce to it with the beat. Like, everything kind of, like, flows. So, like, if you're going by, like, a assembly line, all of the, you know, ramps and stuff like that are moving at the speed of the beat. It's very, like, you know, kind of lighthearted, cartoon. It reminds me of, like a show that would be on Cartoon Network in the early 2000s kind of vibe to it. But, surprising.
I've heard it described as a GameCube/Dreamcast era vibe.
It has a lot of that, but surprisingly very enjoyable. That's awesome. I very much have enjoyed what I've played of it so far. And like I said, I played probably around 3 hours. But it's like, you know, it's fun. You know, this whole rhythm as a mechanic thing has been popping up a lot more recently with this, and then with Metal Hellraiser or Hellbringer or whatever that was. Hellsinger, which was the first-person shooter. Didn't really care for that one as much. But like I said, this is good. It's worth trying out. It's pretty fun. I've actually really enjoyed it so far. I might stick with that and finish that up. Obviously, there was one thing that we mentioned a few weeks ago that I need to go back to, and I have, which is Elden Ring. I am in the process of finishing Elden Ring.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm not that far off, and it's weird to go back to that game. Well, the hype has kind of died down, because last time I was really playing it was when, you know, everybody was playing it. And it's weird to see the hype kind of having gone down. When you queue to try to bring somebody into your ward, instead of it being like 100 people there to bring in, there's like one dude. But it's still, you know, it's still pretty damn... Hey, surprise, surprise, Elden Ring, still a great video game. But yeah, it's exciting. It's exciting to see the amount of games that are coming out. We're about to hit March, where March is going to have some killer titles. Is there anything you've been playing?
Yes. I picked up something that was on PlayStation's equivalent of Game Pass. Something that I had my interest in. I was in the mood to start something fresh. I didn't feel like going back to any of like the backlog stuff because it just wasn't hitting. I wanted to start a game like fresh. And they had recently added Judgment on there, a game I was very interested in for a long time. Judgment, if you don't know or haven't heard of it, it is a spin-off of the very long-running Yakuza series. So this is a separate story set in the same fictional neighborhood of Tokyo, Kamurocho. And you play as Yagami, a former... lawyer in Japan who was famous for a little bit because he got someone acquitted for murder, which Japan, they mentioned, has a 99% conviction rate for any crime, and he got a guy off of a murder charge.
Wait, for any crime?
I believe they made it seem like for any crime, but I'm not entirely sure if that's.
I mean, I do know this. I know that the legal system is a lot more like, hey man, if they pick you up for something, you're probably going to take the rap for it. But at 99, I mean, I believe it. I can believe it, but damn. Like, at that point, just take the plea deal no matter what it is.
And your character managed to get a guy acquitted. But shortly after he's riding the high, he's getting shunned at his law firm because everybody wants Yagami because he's the guy who was like the famous lawyer who broke that like 99 percentile.
Of the 100 people, he's the guy who poured it off. I mean, like, I would want him too.
But the guy you got for murder is just unambiguously kills his girlfriend and burns down his apartment shortly after.
Does it really help your case with why that 1%?
No. So, it's kind of disgrace. He leaves the law. He leaves the world of law, even though he still passed the bar, and becomes a private investigator. And that's where the game. That's the game where the game pretty much starts. So you're playing as Yagami after this whole thing shaped him up. So he's still a lawyer. He has a lawyer badge to prove it, but he's also a private investigator. There's a really good bit early on where you're chasing a guy down. You beat him up. It's like, you can't do this to me. I'll sue. And then he's like, all right. He holds up the lawyer card and goes, I'll see you in court. Cue the fantastic opening number that's like a legal drama style intro set to like Japanese pop punk. And I'm like, all right, I'm in. All right, this is pretty great. The game is the closest I will ever get to a Sleeping Dogs successor. There's a lot to do in the open world. There's a lot of like investigation mini games, a lot of like chasing people down through the streets as you're doing quick time events to like jump over railings or like not get run over by like a crowd of people that you're doing chases. You're doing like you're operating a drone to look over crime scenes and investigate certain aspects, zoom in on objects to get a clue of where to go next. The story is very interesting. The main crux of the mystery is that the game was originally called Judge Eyes in Japan because you're investigating a triple murder or a serial killing of members of a rival clan of the Tojo clan, which is the main clan from the Yakuza series. And the bodies are killed, obviously, but they have their eyes gouged out. So it's a similar like crime, and you're trying to investigate. I'm on chapter 4 now. I just started chapter 4. About 10 hours into this game. It says I'm about 25% complete. I am hooked. I really, really enjoy this thing.
I feel like the Yakuza games are something that I always meant to get into, and the closest I got to really getting into them was like Like a Dragon, which was really good with what I played. You know, I enjoyed what I played, but that series, man. Like, I feel like they pump one of those out every year, but they seem to be of a. I think there was one this year, isn't there?
There's one out today. A brand new one out today.
Okay, add that to the list of things.
Like a Dragon Ishin. It's all the main cast of the Yakuza series, but set during the time of the Japanese Civil War.
Which is kind of cool.
Also, Kenny Omega's in it.
Which is also kind of cool.
He's a trading card that you can use his moves in battle. You can do the one-winged angel.
Just V-trigger everybody. Spam, spam, spam. No, I think that makes him very happy because he's been bucking to get into a video game for a while. And Okada was in one of the Yakuza's games already. So Okada beat him to it. And I think he kind of held that personally. But no, I've always really wanted to get into these things, but it's always cool because I feel like you've got a little bit more experience with them. And every time you describe them, I'm like, boy, I need to go give that a shot. But it's one of those things that it's one of those very in-depth games. I want to have a lot of free time to play it.
Yeah.
And I don't want to skimp on my experience with one. I really should go back and finish Like a Dragon. I really liked Like a Dragon a lot.
I want to play that. Ishin looks really cool. Judgment, I think, I'm liking the story so far more than Yakuza 0, but I think I like the characters overall more in Yakuza 0. We'll see where they go. I really like Yagami as a main character. I do like the arcade games more in this version, because this is set in the more modern day. It's set in 2018 versus the 1980s, like Yakuza 0. So a lot of the arcade games you're playing there's a complete version of Virtua Fighter 5 in this that you can just play. And my 10 hours, probably an hour and a half, is just playing old Sega arcade games. There's one, I forgot the name of it, but it is basically Star Wars Pod Racer, except combined with Road Rash, where you're on motorcycles in space using weapons to knock people off bikes. That's pretty incredible. So
Sounds like that's a reason to pick up the game if there's anything. It's like, hey, you also get Virtua Fighter 5 and a bunch of other games. It's like a compilation game inside of your Yakuza game.
Basically, I could solve this mystery, or it's the whole Yakuza thing. There's a million different side activities you can do. There's drone races in this one.
It's like I could solve the mystery, but I got this baseball team to manage.
The best part of this game is during the drone races, every time you hit the turbo, Yagami will yell, "It's turbo time!"
The film, like the popular film, Jingle All the Way?
Yes, fantastic. Yes.
Is he just Arnold Schwarzenegger? I could deal with that. Okay, you're selling me now.
It's a pretty great game. I'm very interested in it. I don't want to delve too much into the story stuff because this game is like mostly story with like some beat 'em up elements and just Yakuza craziness. More toned down, more gritty noir than like the Yakuza series. So it strikes a really good balance. Like I said, it's more Sleeping Dog, something with a little bit of humor, but overall the story is pretty, as I said, grounded.
I feel like that's one thing about that series they do well is like, hey, they can do a lot of like different tones in those games. You have games that are a lot more wacky and you know just over the top, and then you can do something that's a little bit more of a gritty crime story. So yeah, that's definitely sounds like something worth checking out. You said that's on the PlayStation Network's Game Pass thing?
Yes. I believe you can also get the game on PC, and I believe it is on Xbox, but not on Xbox One. It's on the Series X.
Okay.
I don't know if it's on Game Pass at all, but hey, Judgment. It's been out for a while, so you can probably get it pretty cheap if you're looking into it.
I want to say that it is on Game Pass. I think I've seen it. If it isn't, it was at one point.
There's also the sequel, Lost Judgment, so...
Yeah, I might be thinking of that one.
Maybe.
But, right on. Let's talk about what we're here to talk about.
Yeah, let's get right into this.
I'm about to say, let's not mix words here. Splinter Cell Chaos Theory is a wonderful video game.
I am a huge stealth fan, and I am constantly impressed. It's a similar feeling of going back to Half-Life 2 for the first time, where I'm like, oh, all the like improvements of modern stealth games sort of kind of had their footing like here in the early Splinter Cell games, and maybe with Chaos Theory in particular.
I want to tell you right now that I feel like Chaos Theory does some stuff better than modern stealth games do. It does such a wonderful job of giving you cues and information without having to be A, tutorial crazy, and B, without having to bang your head over the wall on how to do stuff. Like, just the process of like, hey man, there's cool ways to go about all these different objectives. If you just pay attention and listen, you're going to get all the information you need. The crazy thing is, like you said, one, it still looks pretty damn good. It's a original Xbox, PlayStation 2, and PC game, but it still looks really well. I'm playing it on an Xbox Series X, so I'm getting like the best version that it could look, but it runs beautiful. I tell you, it's really nice to have the quick saves move as damn fast as they do when you're running this thing on a Series X. But man, this thing has just blown my mind how well this holds up. Let's just go ahead and get this out of the way. The story is convoluted as hell, and I'm still not 100% sure what exactly is supposed to be happening.
Because right from the beginning, they build up something that's going to come into play later, so you're thinking, oh, this is where we're going to head into. And then, no, you're off to a completely different thing. Like, it starts out with, like, Chinese forces hijacking a Japanese vessel in Korean waters, and Sam Fisher is sent in, and you're like, all right, he's going to go deal with this mess. Now he's going somewhere else. All right, what's this whole thing?
It feels like you're jumping into a sequel to a game that had an ongoing plot. I really struggled to kind of grasp why it does this whole very in-depth, like, this is the situation in the between the Japanese government and the Korea and China and all these stuff, and then Fisher's off doing his own thing, and I get that it's supposed to be like a mystery that all links up together.
And it does kind of pay off at the end of this section here. We start to see both plots kind of coinciding by this point. Yeah.
I just feel like it could have been done in a more interesting and more clear way. I'm not upset about it by any means of the imagination, because by mission 5, you kind of see what's going to happen here. You kind of get like, and it's a lot of these Tom Clancy games, and especially like from this era, have a lot of that where it's like global espionage and moles and government agencies and things like that. But I'm not here to say that the story is a top-notch, novel-worthy story so far, but it doesn't matter, because these are some of the tightest, coolest missions that I've played in a long time.
I agree with that, yes.
And if every story setup is just Sam doing something, I'm fine with it. I don't even...
The setup for the individual stories and the individual beats that you run into are themselves interesting in self-contained level by level. Like, okay, I gotta look for this guy in particular, and then when he's not there and leaves, that's an interesting, like, thread that's pulled away from you that you were invested in. You might not care what he's doing outside of the scope of this mission. It's just the immersive story that you're kind of playing here through the gameplay is...
They do a good job of like having objectives go south on you in missions without it being you actually failing the objective. So you'll be in situations where it's like your primary objective in like mission 2 is there's several of those objectives that just do not happen in mission 2 because you don't have access. Once you get your boots on the ground, you don't have access to that information. And then things come up to light. So you'll have objectives get added because as Sam is going about doing the mission, this guy is here. He's actually here. He's on this boat. Let's go take him out. And stuff like that comes up, and it's a really cool way of adding and taking away objectives from your list throughout the entire game.
And there's moments like that are scripted, and there's moments that are tied into the way the alarm system works in this game. As you rank up alarms, each area is going to have more guards. They're going to be actively like breaking their posts and looking for you more. It's the way though the scripted moments and like the unscripted moments kind of play into each other is extremely impressive. However, I do think the Achilles heel of this game, it doesn't break it by any means, it's just something I had to get used to, is that the guard AI is pretty inconsistent. with how they handle spotting you, as well as what you can do to them when you can when you can do it to them. For example, sometimes I can sneak up behind a guard in a chair and be able to choke him out no problem. Sometimes I try to, like, the prompt doesn't come up and I try to wiggle my way around him. Then he spots me and immediately, without a second thought, stands up and shoots, and then doors open up with a bunch of guards pouring in and shoot me. So then I'm like, all right, reload my quick save. Let's try this again.
Things like peripheral vision is very inconsistent, because I've had dudes walk like 2 inches away from me and not see me, and then I've had dudes be like 3 feet down a hallway and me be on the opposite side of the room, and they catch me and, you know, turn around and be able to spot me.
I can't get a feel for how the light level works beyond 0. If I'm at 0, I can be a foot away from them and them not see me. But the minute I like dip to like the first notch, it feels like that should be all the way full, because then I can be like the long hallway on the boat where I couldn't even see the guard that saw me. So at one point,
I had a lot of those issues in the 5th mission, the office building, where it was very inconsistent with how guys could see me. I usually don't have issues with like the sound levels, because I kind of grasp that pretty easy. But for some reason, no matter what I did on that mission, I was triggering guys. And that's the only kind of thing I kind of get a little bit irritable with. I didn't have it really until that 5th mission. Most of the game I was able to get away with pretty easily. But yeah, there was some inconsistencies in how guards act and how guards are able to catch you. There's a little bit of inconsistency also with like how some of the tools work. So like, you know, using the EMP emitter on your pistol, like if you're not dead on something, sometimes it just doesn't pick up, and that can be a little bit of a troubling thing when you're trying to do a series of events quickly, so you can, you know, get in and out of a room or something without triggering a guard. You kind of have to, it's a little bit unforgiving there. Like, you know, sometimes you can aim a little bit below the camera and it'll pick it up, and then other times you're aiming, you got to be dead on the lens to be able to pick up. It's a little bit inconsistent.
I know it's because you have to wait for the whole reticle to kind of ease in. Like, you can't just immediately pull your gun and shoot. You got to kind of like let it focus in. But even then, yeah, some shots that I swear I like focus in on end up missing. Like, I had lined up a couple headshots in this game that I was like, all right, it's imperative that I hit this, and then I miss, and then all of a sudden they freak out. Understandably, they freak out, but
if you get shot at, you too.
Yeah.
But my thing is like weird stuff, like with the EMP emitter on the pistol and stuff. Like, why does that take me taking aim? Like, it's a beam. Like, you know, it just, like, stuff like that just feels a little bit inconsistent.
Yeah.
Nothing game-breaking by any means of the imagination. And to be honest with you, the way the guards walk in some of the environments is actually still really impressive. Particularly in environments that are, like, very loud and things like that, where you can just sprint behind those guys and they won't hear you.
The sound meter I really like because of the fact that you have a baseline on there at all times. Like, don't go past this line and you can be completely silent. So you can kind of like get a pattern for things in the environment. Like in the first mission, there's a bit where you can time your bullet to like the thunder and not alert anybody, which is really cool.
We're just gonna go. Let's just go mission by mission here.
Yep.
The
I want to
first
start
mission
with the start screen. There is a teaser trailer for a movie that will never come out, complete with the movie trailer voice guy.
Okay.
Yeah, that caught me off guard. I just wanted to mention that. They're like, see Splinter Cell next summer. I'm like, yeah, right.
I didn't know that. I didn't watch this.
Yeah, it's just a CG model of Sam's night vision goggles, and they're like,
wow.
we're filming soon. I'm like, no, you're not.
Yeah, that's kind of cute. I do like the fact also when you hit start on the game, it shows you a big trailer for the video game you are already playing.
Yeah, That's a very 2000s thing.
Yeah, it's like, hey, let's watch this music video of Sam doing Sam stuff. And it's like, but I'm already playing this damn game. What are you doing?
And it takes a really long time to load the menu, because it's where I hit start for so long before it even takes me there. I don't know if my controller's just acting up or...
No, I mean, this game loads like a mug. Like, I can never finish reading anything in, like, the loading screens or anything, because it's just, boom, loaded. But it takes forever to get to the start screen. You have to watch, at least 30 seconds of that music video before they let you skip it. First mission is the lighthouse. This mission is very straightforward. It's very much a training mission. There is no tutorial in this game. There is instead some videos you can watch.
Narrated by Sam Fisher himself.
Yeah. He's that guy knows how to voice act. Like, he's pretty damn good. I was sitting there going like, man, he's got some great one-liners. He's got some great little paragraphs. I was like, I like Sam a lot. For what could be a very generic, super spy character in a Tom Clancy, espionage video game, Sam has a lot more personality than you usually give him credit for. Yeah. This whole first mission is very straightforward. It's almost a straight path kind of mission, which kind of walks while learning the mechanics, learning how to, navigate the light ability, the lights, and flipping off lights, shooting out lights, putting out lights.
It's teaching you all the mechanics without putting something in your face that says, hey, do this, do this. Like, for example, when you're first on the beach and you climb your way to the first bridge, there's two guards walking around that'll see you if you pop your head out because it's not dark enough initially. And you listen to them, and then as they talk, you get a little note flashing on your user interface. And that teaches you when you go into your menu, you have notes, and all of the stuff that you listen to guard-wise will get written down. Like, you can overhear a guy literally shouting the password, like, hey, did you hear me? It's 0458.
Well, I like that all that stuff is very, is tracked for you. So, like, little things, like when you've already discovered a password, when you go to the lock, it just goes ahead and brings it up for you. It's like, hey, this is the password. It's 3675 or whatever. It's like I said, it's very user-friendly. This whole first mission, while very good, I don't have a lot to say about it. There's some good sequences in it. Like timing your movements and your noise for the thunder. That was really neat. There's some really good lighting effects.
Did you try to save the engineer?
I don't think you can you? Because he was pretty much dead by the time I got there.
No, but I wanted to see, so I kept quick saving that room just to see if I could rush through and just screw stealth and shoot my way through to see. And I looked it up afterwards, and there's no way to save him. But really cool lighting on when he's getting shocked. You see the light reflect off the cave wall and everything. That looks really nice. I
was playing this beside my wife, and I said, "Look at this beautiful sequence that I never really see because I always have my night vision goggles on." I was like, the lighting in this game is really damn good, but I constantly have these night vision goggles on, so But you are correct. It's some really good stuff there. Did you cut him down?
Yes.
Yeah, there's little stuff like that I enjoy that you don't have to do, but you can stop and cut him down. And there's a sequence where Sam, we ain't got time for that. He's like, we always have time to, show some respect for this guy. Yeah. Like I said, mission's fairly straightforward. It introduces things like side objectives that I enjoy. I could try to complete pretty much every side objective in every mission. I think I only blew it on 2 missions total that I didn't do all of them. But it's a good introduction to this game that I feel is very much a setup for the following mission on the ship, which is like, hey, we've explained the basics of this thing, now go wild.
Yeah. each mission from here on out becomes a sense of place versus a linear path. This reminds me of maps that I love in the Hitman series, where it's you're dropped in, you got here's a whole space you can kind of wrap your head around. It's a little bit more linear here too, but it's like more slightly open. It's not until mission 3, which I'm gonna gush about, when the game becomes when the map becomes a fully open space that you can like really have fun and play around in. But this is where you can when you realize that this is laid out like a boat. This is not laid out necessarily. It doesn't feel like you're playing like a set video game level. Like there's 2 paths you can go right at the beginning of this thing. You can go right and try to sneak past the guards, and I'll kind of shortcut you to the cargo room that you need to go, or you can kind of cut left, and it's the safer option, but it'll take you a little bit longer to get there.
And like one thing they do such a great job in most of these missions, but in this one in particular, is little things like everything links up logically. So if you're moving towards the bow of the ship, you're going to end up there in a way that makes sense. You can very much keep track of where you are on the ship without having to have a map or anything like that. So it's like there was times when I wanted to get to the room that the captain is in, and they're like, he's on the room off the deck, and it's like, well, I know where I'm at. Let me just move, down this hallway and then go up one flight of steps, and I'll be there. Like, it feels very easy to navigate. It gives you a ton of cool, like, specific problems to deal with. Like, I thoroughly enjoyed the engine room, where the engine room is pumping out so much gas that a spark from a firearm is going to blow the whole room up. And Sam just straight up says, like, these idiots are too stupid to know that, so they're going to shoot if they do see me.
And the timing on that is hilarious. There's no build-up. So if someone shoots a gun, it's just immediately entire room explodes. It's really hilarious.
Yeah, and but like the fact that because when you go in there, the whole room is super loud. So yes, you can't be seen, but now your ability to navigate quickly is there because hey, they can't hear me on these walkways and stuff that usually give off a whole lot of noise. So it's a really cool, well-designed sequence where it's like, hey, you can't be seen here, but we're going to give you some extra help because now you can be a lot more loud.
And depending on your alarm level, there will either be 1 guard in there or 3 or 4 guards in there. That'll make it tricky. So if you're playing it kind of fast and loose early on in the level, you're going to get punished for it in this section where you really got to be...
I generally never had an alarm going. So
yeah.
I think the only time I ever had an alarm going was on the 5th mission.
I restarted this mission after it kind of went bad because I was learning to play the game still at this point, like learning the pace it wanted me to play. So that I did like a complete restart once I got to that point and went there with no alarms. So I was like, okay, I'm learning this game's pace. I'm learning the way that it wants me to play. Started taking more advantage of like every tool that I have because the game is really smart with the way it doesn't feed you all of the information. You kind of got to have use all of your tools at once. You got to take advantage of the night vision goggles, your meters, your thermal goggles, and especially in like some of these later missions, the electronic goggles, so you can trace where cameras are, because it's really easy to miss cameras in this game unless you're doing your due diligence and like scanning every room. So I was like, okay, camera there, I'm gonna watch out for those.
Yeah, and it's also very like, especially in the 3rd mission, there's a lot of cameras that are in places where you have to get underneath that camera. So being able to track it with the electric, goggles, setting can kind of be very helpful because it's like, okay, where's the camera at? And then, okay, now I know where I need to, maybe take that thing offline real quick and rush in underneath it or something. The ship mission has a couple of other highlights I really want to talk about. I enjoyed the final takedown of our target.
Yes.
Because he goes to grab a beer And in my case, he never comes back. So the guards say something like, he's been gone for a long time, and then they come investigate. Because he goes to the like kitchen thing, and that's where I snatched him. I snatched him while he was getting his drink. And I was in the bathroom that was off to the side there doing the interrogation of him. And while I'm interrogating him, one of the guards like, he's been gone for a long time. And they get up, and I'm like, oh shit, I'm going in this quick, buddy, sorry.
Yeah, that happened to me too. I snuck behind him and dragged him to the bathroom area. And this is where I realized that because you have left trigger for non-lethal kill, or non-lethal takedown, and you have right trigger for lethal takedown. This is why I realized the lethal takedown is really weird. So the non-lethal takedown, you like choke him out, do the whole like pressure point thing, go to sleep. You think Sam's gonna use that knife to like kind of silence him, but no, he kind of just pushes him and like hits his back on his knee. And
he snaps his neck from behind or some shit. Like, it's very confusing. It is weird that you have the knife already there, and instead of using a knife, he does this weird like kick to the back of the neck or back of the spine. It's a weird takedown. I don't quite get why he doesn't just use that fancy knife that he has.
But if you're like spotted or don't have them, he'll use that knife for like a quick silent takedown type deal.
Yeah. But if you do like the regular attack, because the regular attack is like a punch to the nose kind of thing to knock him unconscious, or like a stab.
Yeah.
And like he'll stab him if he's not got time, but if he's got time, he enjoys his work a little bit too much.
I did like working my way to the bottom of the ship with him there. There's some good moments with I like that there's a guard there just blasting music. I tried to get Siri to tell me what the song is, but she can't place it, so I'm convinced it's not a real song that was made specifically for this game or something.
One thing that's important is turning on radios is great because it allows you to move a lot faster.
Yeah.
So I'm constantly flipping on radios and stuff. I talked about one of my best strategies, or my favorite strategies, is to do the exorcist trick, where I walk up to a light and click, 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 and flip it on, flip it off, flip it on, flip it off, just to get people to come over there and investigate. It's like, oh, what's going on in there? Then they never come back, weirdly enough. But yeah, the boat is a great sequence, but I think that it really is Mission 3 in which the game finally takes all the training wheels off. Mission 3 is a straight up bank robbery.
This might be, if I were to place like a top 5, top 10 stealth levels of all time, I would put the bank. The bank is a lock for that list. I love this mission.
It has everything you want in a bank robbery mission. Descending from the skylight in between laser beams, dodging security cameras,
laser tripwires,
walking on parole, safe crackle, walking you through how to break into the safe. It's almost a perfect mission. There's some great Sam stuff here, where Sam was here before.
The reason they had to up their security was because Sam Fisher broke into the bank in 1989.
There's a great sequence in which he's talking about a moment in which he's talking about that he was in Desert Storm, and his one of the comms ladies on there talks about that she was 10 at that time, Sam, and Sam just goes, yuck. It's just like, it's just something that goes through multiple missions of Sam complaining about being old. But yeah, this is a perfect mission. I freaking love this thing. It has, the bank is a real building. You can navigate it like a real building. Going to the different offices, even tools in this game that you don't think would be useful. Like when I first saw that I had flashbangs, I was like, what am I going to use flashbangs for? Like, I'm trying to keep shit quiet. And then I found a room with 3 guards in it that, boy, it'd be convenient if they wasn't there. So we learned that if you bash open doors, it knocks out the guy behind the door, And so I bashed the door open, tossed in a flashbang. Everybody had a headache for a second, and then they got 2 bullets to the head. And I was like, oh yeah, flashbangs are pretty useful actually. But yeah, I like the tools. You talk about the tools, man. Like that was everything I've been using. Like I'm constantly going through that toolkit, being like, okay, what do I have here? Because I usually just take the recommendation kit. And it's always like, okay, what do I need? What do I have? You know, what's a good thing for me to pop up here? The only thing I don't usually use is the sticky cams.
This was the first mission I used this one on. And I used it at the bit where you're climbing through the air ducts and you have that ceiling fan blocking your way. And there's 2 guards in there. And I couldn't get a placement because I was in the duct. I couldn't see exactly how many guards were in the room or the layout of the room. So I took a sticky cam, shot it down there, and that got me get in that tiny room to get a good layout so I could easily see when the guard left so that I could shoot the computer and kind of scale down that way. So that was a good place to use the sticky cam for me. But
see, I didn't think about that. That's a good idea. I didn't think about it.
So what I loved about this whole the bank mission is like when you start, there are, I believe, at the top of my head, 3 ways to get into the bank. You can kill the lights and go in through the front, but then you have the front guy waiting on you. Or what I did, I went around and took the pipe up to the roof so I could kill one of the breaker boxes and then use that to descend down to the main floor where the tripwires are. Or I believe if you keep going down that way, there's a door to like the back side of the building near where I believe it's near where the back office is on the first floor.
I would like to say that probably the quote-unquote fastest way to get through it is the back door. Yeah. I also took the roof. I went in through the skylight just because I think that's the coolest way to go in.
That's the Mission Impossible way.
Yeah, and also it's also the way that to me gives you the best like breakdown of how the bank is set up. Because you're like, okay, there's 2 different wings here. I go around this side. So, like, I think that's kind of, in my way, that's the smartest way to go, I guess. But, yeah, that goes back to these are real places that are set up like real places would be set up. So, therefore, they're incredibly easy to navigate. There's, like I said, I would say there's a couple big highlights here. One is, of course, the cracking of the safe itself. I really like that whole sequence.
Where you got to use a copier to mimic the exact lockpicking you're doing on both sides. That's really cool.
I like also the fact that when Sam walks in, he sees all the money. He goes, hey, we need to go ahead and talk about a raise. But Sam's like, I'm just gonna steal some of this shit. I've been here twice now. But I've like I said, this is almost a perfect mission. I can't speak highly enough of it. I can't think of a single thing about this mission I didn't like.
Exactly right. I love the bit where you have to either time your walks with the guard as the lasers are stopping and starting depending on where his location is. So I just waited till he came to me. I choked him out, and then I just carried him through the lasers. That's a strategy I did later in Mission 5 too.
Yeah, that's also what I did. I just knocked him out and be like, oh, come in with me now. And just carried him through the lasers. It's very convenient.
There's a bit where you have to steal $50 million in the French bearer bonds, and I asked, why are we doing that? This just seems like a dick move. And it's because it's like, oh, you have to make it seem like a robbery here.
Yeah, they were covering up that it was not for the information. They were covering it up, making it look like a robbery.
And there's a bit where you're trying to send emails from within the bank to make it look like it was an inside job and not like an outside source there.
That's one thing I like about these missions also is that usually there is objectives to cover up Sam's involvement. So it's like, okay, we're going to get the tape for the security cameras. We're going to send emails to make it look like an inside job. We're going to steal some money and make it look like a bank robbery. There's always an exit strategy where Sam has to also escape the area. It's just set up super intelligently. I really, really enjoy how they build these levels. While 3 is a high point, I actually really, really love Mission 4 too. Mm-hmm. And Mission 4 starts off giving you an objective that I thought would kind of kill my strategy, which is, hey, Mission 4, there's been a blackout in New York City.
And not only that, it wipes out the entire Northeast and North Carolina. Like, you can see, like, the whole map light up red, and then tagging on at the end of the map is just North Carolina. I'm like, why is that thrown in here?
What the fuck we do to you, man? Damn. Leave us be. We're just chilling, all right? Leave us be. We ain't involved in all y'all shenanigans up there in New York City. Up there in New York City. I really, really like this whole section. We are investigating the penthouse of this gentleman, so we have to walk our way to the penthouse. The streets are being patrolled by the National Guard, so we can't kill those guys. Which leads to one of my favorite interrogation sequences, that if you grab a guy, you convince him that it's really just a training mission, and you just like, hey buddy, time for you to go to sleep. Okay, thank you, sir. And you drive him out. But I really, really enjoy this whole thing because it's, the process of walking your way up through the streets to get to the penthouse having all the extra security of the cameras and all of that stuff, and the mercenaries up there. This mission it feels really good. It's a lot more straightforward than the bank or the boat was, but it's still very solid.
Self-contained areas that there's a lot of multiple paths to. Like, even on the street level, you can kind of weave your way through the guards, or what I found was a fire escape ladder that I took up to the roof and was able to scale past, like, near that whole sequence and get close to the ground floor, where I was able to go in the building where they were doing where the elevators were to go up.
Yeah, I think I actually just snuck by the guys doing a lot of that, picking up trash and throwing it off into the distance, and little tricks like that to get by them.
And then there's this bit here where you interrogate one of the guards, and that's where you learn that the people up here are working for a PMC called Displace International. And there's, I think, multiple ways to get that information, but I like that you can just interrogate the guys, and Sam will be like, just tell me who you're working for.
All of these sequences with Sam and his negotiations / getting people. There's a sequence in Mission 5 in which there was complaining about the HVAC system not working on a building, and if you grab the guy, you go like, Sam goes like, tell me why the HVAC system's is having problems, and the guy goes, why do you care? He goes, I am the most heavily armed, pissed off HVAC man in the ward. Just like this. My favorite
was, I'm thinking of a number between 1 and 10. Guess it right and it won't kill you. He goes, 1. He goes, congratulations. Just tell me what I need to know then.
Yeah, I love all those interrogation stuff, man. It's like Sam just is a man who enjoys his work.
Yeah, exactly. If you love what you do, you don't work a day in your life. I don't think Sam's ever worked.
He's having a ball. He's having a great old time. Mission 3 and 4 are highlights for me. I love those missions a lot.
There is a bit here where there was a bit that scared the hell out of me. It was a bomb on the roof. So it was near the end of the mission where you're going into where you discover what the whole Dvorak thing is and that crazy reveal. So I like scale on like the little room protruding from like the side of the window, and as soon as I climbed up that roof, it just exploded for no apparent reason. I was like, there's mines in here. I didn't know there was mines here.
Yeah, of trip mines. They introduced those in a way that's like, hey, surprise! These go off.
You're going to die to those unless you're paying like really close attention to your technology.
I think I died twice. And the first time you died just because you didn't know to look for them. You know, you were looking for cameras, you were looking for beams, you weren't looking for trip mines.
Some weird stuff here. There's the whole Dvorak thing that's causing the blackout, and it's like this supercomputer. I don't know. There's a puzzle involving punch cards.
So let's do mission 5, and then I would do a breakdown of what I think this story is.
Okay, that sounds good.
Mission 5 is you are still in New York City, but you are going to the PMC's headquarters to basically discover what their ties to all this stuff is. This is also a sequence in which you are told you can't kill anybody because the U.S. government has contracts with this PMC organization, and nobody wants to have to do all the paperwork about you going around shooting people in the head.
Makes sense.
Mission 5 is my least favorite mission of all these. That sounds bad. I enjoy this mission, but it's not as good as the other 4.
I love the layout of this place. I think the enemy placement is weird, and I think I ran into some glitches that made this whole... Or either glitches or weird choices here that just made this mission not as fun as the others. But I love the layout of this place itself.
Yes, and I think the glitch you ran into is the same thing I ran into, which is you descend. You are a part of you see the meeting that's being taken place, and you're supposed to follow that guy and get access to that briefcase. As I was going about the beginning of the mission, he comes down some steps with his the guy he's meeting, and so I'm doing my thing. I'm just hiding out, and they're starting to talk. He sits down the briefcase, and they're starting to talk, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna get some information here, and then no matter what happened, they said, "Did you hear that?" And they come over towards me every time. And I was like, what is going on? I'm not making any noise. I'm in complete darkness. There was 0 cameras around here. And I could not tell why they kept doing it. So after like the 4th time of reloading the save, I said, well, I got airfoil rounds. So when they walked down those steps, they just went, doop, doop. I just knocked them out ahead of time and just took control of the briefcase that way. Because I could not get them to go about their business, because every time they would trigger as if they heard me, when I would be completely immobile, up against the wall in complete darkness.
So this is what happened to me. I did the same thing and started following the guy and followed him to the keycard entry door that I couldn't get past. I was walking my way up to the door, and it's my fault that I initially got spotted, because this whole mission is centered around the technology. There's a whole video for it that the blackout screens, like each window has a switch you can trigger that makes it turn off, which will it will just be like a window, or you can turn it on and it'll like block out the entire like window. It's like digital blinds basically. And the blinds were up. A guard saw me. He freaked out, came through. Immediately ran through the door. I knocked him out, and everything seemed fine. An alarm was going off, but the guy I was following, who was carrying the briefcase, freaked out. He dropped the briefcase in the middle of the floor, and then ran to the meeting room. So I just walked over, hacked the briefcase that was just in the middle of this floor. But none of the guards were acting like I was there. So I followed him to the meeting room, and what happened was the guy I was following was pinned up in the corner with 2 other guards pointing their guns at him. So I walked in the room, I did a whistle, so one guard would come, I choked him out, put him in the corner. I did the whistle again, choked him out, put him in the corner. Then I ran up and choked out the meeting room dude. So I don't know, what series of events led to this whole shenanigans thing, but I was like, this didn't feel good. This felt weird.
I think it's weird that both of us had struggles with those 2 particular characters.
Yeah.
So it's like something's weird about how they operate. Because, for me, they were just auto-triggering for me. So when I reloaded my save on, the 5th time, I just said, well, you're not going to get to the point where you can put down that briefcase and auto trigger for me. You're going to come down these steps and get airfoil rounds right to the back of the head.
Yeah, the other weird thing here was the side mission here, dealing with hacking the 3 servers you need. So you get to this big server room initially. The first computer you go to is sitting on top of like a small horizontal server rack. And that's where you shut off the server or hack the server and you do the first mission objective. And they're like, cool, fine. They don't tell you how, Grim doesn't tell you how many. She says, hack all of the servers. So you look at all the computers in the room going, I guess I need to hack all of these. So then you do that, and you go through most of the computers, and they have something that says mission objective written on it. And I'm like, is this the objective? Do I need to hack all these computers? But I don't know what that's connected to. I wasn't clearing a side mission by looking at all of those reports. Maybe it was like something I needed to find once, but it's on all those computers. So I was confused about what I needed to extract because there was nothing like clearing off in that regard. So I think that information should have been made a little bit more clear there.
She's referring to servers throughout the entire building.
Yes, I knew that.
So yeah. So like, I think that's supposed to be that you could hack that area's server from any one of those computers. But it is not very clear. I did not actually complete that objective. It's one of the few objectives I didn't complete because I think I missed one. Because she said there was one more, and I couldn't find it. And to be honest with you, I got very frustrated at the end of this mission, and with not being able to figure out exactly what my next objective was. So I never went back and finished that one objective.
I think I got them all because I just hacked every computer I saw at that point. It's like I'm gonna brute force the side mission. Then we're gonna hack every single computer. In which case, I got really good at the hacking minigame. Sometimes hacking minigames are not fun. I actually really enjoy this hacking minigame.
Well, this one also is if you're in real big trouble, you can just back out.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can just be like, I'm not going to get it, back out. You know. Good hacking minigame, good lock-picking minigame. They're pretty solid. There's a good Mission Impossible sequence here in which you are doing the line towards the floor, you know, like the Mission Impossible sequence to get into the server room, and then when you're in there, the lights start coming back on, and there's a great moment where you're like, oh shit, you're like, oh, you know, the idea of the power coming back is a problem for Sam. Like I said, I think this is the weakest mission, but it's by no means bad. It's just not nearly as good as the previous 4.
I ran into some weird just run into some weird things, ultimately. There's also, the enemy placement was weird, because I got to the point where I was able to easily knock out, at least before I got to the top floor, was able to, like, knock out all the guards, and was just able to freely run around the entire space, going, where's the objective, where do I go, whole thing. So it didn't feel like a stealth game at that point. It felt like I had just, like, broken something. So, ultimately, I recognize that this was probably my fault in the way I was playing this mission and why it didn't fully like connect with me, but yeah.
I think it's a little bit of maybe you did something that broke it, but at the same time you shouldn't be able to break it like that.
That's true.
You know, like that's, you know, kind of on them.
And this is where the mission where the guard AI thing, like, this is a mission when you get to the top floor, if one guard sees you, then all of a sudden every single guard on the floor knows exactly where you are.
Yeah,
so I had to quick save a couple times once I got to the top floor.
Yeah. You want to do the Eric tries to explain the plot so far?
Let's try to work out this story.
Okay, bear with me. There is a arms deal going on with some guys out of South America that is actually a front for information about these 2 particular engineers that have this very fancy advanced hacking, computer hacking / virus software that they have. One of them is the guy who is dead in the first mission of the game. The second guy has gone missing. That is most likely being moved around the world by this PMC group. That technology is used at the end of Mission 5 to blind a highly advanced naval craft that was sent to the Pacific to be kind of a deterrent for increased aggression between the Japanese, the Americans, and the Chinese and the Koreans, the North Koreans. Oddly enough, not mentioning the South Koreans in something that's taking place on the Korean Peninsula. I think that's kind of weird. But because this ship was electronically blinded, they were able to destroy this ship. So we are now moving to Japan, in which we believe we have the location of this one engineer who's like one of the only people on Earth that could have, used this program.
Yeah, and in the last cutscene, he gets an offer to join the PMCs. He gets their business card, and
he has got a previous relationship with the owner of this PMC group.
Oh right, this.
Yeah, so there's a lot of talk about Sam, you shouldn't trust this guy because his PMC group is doing dirty stuff, and Sam's he doesn't know. It's some other guy in his organization. So there's some of that. I kind of blew over some of the personal connections with Sam because it's a lot of shady people knowing shady people kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Oddly enough, there is a game because I did not play Chaos Theory, but I've played every game post Chaos Theory. There is a game in which Sam goes and joins a weird shady paramilitary group, and I can't remember if it's this same paramilitary group or not.
I'm not sure
because that's Double Agent.
Yeah, I think we played different versions of that game because I played the PS2 version, and as you went on missions, that had a line of trust where if you made a decision one way, it would go the way of there was one that was NSA and the other that was the rogue organization. So you had to make decisions that kind of kept that line balanced, but there was really no tension there. It was okay, on this mission I'll do the NSA choice, and then on this mission I'll do the other guy's choice to kind of straighten up.
See, I played the 360 version of that, and I don't remember that. So I think it maybe is that we played different versions of Double Agents.
They are completely different games, from what I understand.
Yeah, so that's probably what it is, that we just played different versions of Double Agent. But I don't remember if it's the same PMC group or not, or same group. But that's where we stand. Do you think I'm in the ballpark there, Michael?
You have me. That I believe that's right, but why is that whole supercomputer thing run on punch cards?
Because we still run our nuclear program on floppy disks.
I guess that's true. Also, something weird that's not connected to anything. The engineer who's looking over Dvorak, on his TV there, he's watching a playthrough of Splinter Cell Pandora Tomorrow.
Maybe he's like me and he enjoyed Pandora Tomorrow. Maybe he's that was a good game. He's watching a Twitch. He's watching a Twitch stream of Pandora Tomorrow. I don't know, man. There's some weird product placement. There's a lot of Ubisoft product placement. There's a lot of Axe body spray product placement.
Oh right, the Axe body spray. My favorite is the. Did you play that new Prince of Persia game? Oh man, that game looks really good. I know, I love those games. This new one looks really great.
Game of the year.
Game of the year.
Yeah, straight up says they think it's gonna be Game of the Year.
I think it was on one of the news trolls too. New Prince of Persia game is the number one selling game.
Ubisoft is just really, really good. Remember when Ubisoft had enough good games to be able to do that though? Damn, think about that shit. Now it'd just be hey man, remember that Assassin's Creed 27 or Just Dance 2000 insert year here?
Skull and Bones is coming out sometime. Remember that?
Hell, they might have mentioned it in this game.
True.
I thoroughly have enjoyed this game so far. I am very much looking forward to playing it. We're currently in Japan for Mission 6.
Hokkaido, which is also the name of a Hitman mission. They call it the Alaska of Japan. So, in here.
Okay.
So, that's one thing Sam says when you're looking it up is like, isn't that the Alaska of Japan?
All right. I've never... Maybe I should go there. It's a cool... maybe it's a cold part of Japan. I don't know.
In the Hitman thing, I don't think we're going here. It's like a wealthy 1%er hospital type deal on the Hitman map. I don't think we're doing that. I think we're just going to Hokkaido. But
who knows? Maybe that's what they're maybe that's what they're known for.
Wealthy 1%er assassin hospital.
Possible.
Maybe.
Well, we don't know, man. Yes. Like I said, very much enjoying this so far. I think that this is going to be really fun. I'm looking forward to finishing it up. You can follow us at State of the Save on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, where Michael has been posting his playthrough of Metal Gear Solid Twin Snakes. He has also been streaming that on the Twitch, so you can go follow him there and watch him play that.
I'm starting to do more frequent Twitch streams on Sunday mornings whenever I have the free time. Sometimes my Sundays aren't free, but that's mostly the consistent day I can sit down and play something for a couple hours. So yeah, being in a stealth mood, I've been playing Metal Gear Solid the Twin Snakes. So either this weekend or next weekend, I'm going to sit down and finally finish that thing. And Twin Snakes does not hold up as well as I wanted it to.
I kind of felt like that was going to be the statement you made there.
Yeah, the cutscene pacing is
the
weird.
extremely anime cutscenes.
Not even that. Those moments are fantastic, but where I think it falls apart is when they have to kind of escalate the fast-paced dialogue of them standing close together on the PS1 version, because the dialogue just goes on for so long, and they feel the need to extend it by adding unnecessary character animations to kind of pad out those cutscenes. So it's a very poorly paced game, but the highs are really high. So I can't hate it.
No, yeah, I mean, I watched some of that after we played Metal Gear Solid, and I was like, I think I'm gonna stick with my regular Metal Gear Solid.
That's the right choice.
But yeah, definitely you can follow. Usually Michael posts on social media before he goes live, so you can follow us and you will be able to see that. stateofthesave@gmail.com. Send your emails there. We might have access to that email. I'm not 100% sure at this point. Thank you guys for listening. We appreciate it. And stay safe out there.